What's up guys, Zyger here. I am so elated right now because Suikoden is back. That's right, Suikoden is returning in the form of an HD remaster that combines Suikoden and Suikoden 2 into a singular package. It's called Gate-Rune and Dunan Unification Wars, and it's coming soon as part of a multi-platform release. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know how much I love this series. I've reviewed every single game in it, including the spin-offs, and I've also done videos that are complete series retrospectives. I've done complete storyline summaries of the first two games, and it truly is one of my favorite franchises in RPG history. It's coming out March 6th, and I couldn't be more excited for it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what you can expect from this new remaster package, why I love the franchise so much, especially the first two games, and why I think it's so important that this is coming out soon. But before I do that, please subscribe to the channel for more RPG content and click the bell below to be alerted upon the addition of new videos. Alright guys, first let's get into what you can expect from this new Suikoden and Suikoden 2 remaster package called Gate-Rune and Dunan Unification Wars. As we know, it comes out March 6, 2025 on Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Steam. So it's basically on every platform, and that's a really awesome decision. So many people will be able to play this that wouldn't have already been able to check it out. Because the original copies of the game are very expensive on eBay. You can emulate them, a lot of people don't know how to do that, but these have become collector's items, so this coming out is a big deal. We've seen the announcement trailer and the release date trailer, and I will play that footage in future parts of this video so you can get a gist of that, but we're going to talk about it right now. So this remaster combines the first two games in the Suikoden franchise, which, by the way, I think are by far the best two. Most fans of the franchise that go back that far probably would agree. For the battle system, it looks like they're using a very similar UI as before, but just streamlined and a little cleaner, a little bit more accessible for modern audiences. But what I love about this, guys, is if you check these pictures out, it looks like they're retaining the exact original pixels, the original sprites, which is a super good idea, and even the character portraits here look to be the same as they used to be. I think that's a great idea. I think so many games have failed by trying to kind of reinvent that retro spirit, but putting on filters that look really ugly or trying to change the sprites. We're playing these games to relive the nostalgia, so having the same sprites is a big deal. So great decision, Konami. For the 108 stars in the home base, it looks like, it's basically the same. We're going to castle build. If they took that away, it'd be a definite crime. So we're going to get that again, and that's great. For the war battles, again, it looks like here we have pictures depicting more or less the same style, but maybe with a cleaner kind of UI. Same with Suikoden 2. The battles are a little bit different between the two. With the duels, it looks like much the same. Again, cleaner look. You got these new icons here. And it just looks great. I think that this looks so cool. These duels are going to be much more epic. Here's the one between Ryu and Flick at the beginning of Suikoden 2. I'm not really going to spoil it, but that's pretty cool. For the graphics here, okay, the graphics show that they're making it widescreen. We all knew that would happen. But they really do look cleaner. Like, this is kind of pixelated, and we want to have the original pixel look and sprites. But here, it looks like it's just more polished, it's more colorful. You're not really taking anything away by this, and I think it just looks great. I think the next comparison's even better. So here's a picture at the very beginning of Suikoden 2, Joey in the Imperial camp, and then we have the same picture here, but look at all this lighting. The lighting is beautiful. There's really great background effects, and they brought it into a modern age without really sacrificing any of the nostalgia that I think we're really going to enjoy about playing. For speed and auto battle, that option actually did exist in the original Suikoden game, the auto battle option, but in this one it looks like they're speeding it up even more if you want, which is pretty cool. That was one of the things that really streamlined this game back then, when most games made you pick each and every individual command. This one you could streamline it, and it made it a lot of fun. There we go. Let's check the other one out. So yeah, it definitely seems even more sped up than the original game ever was, which is pretty cool. The UI changes here. Okay, so this is really unique. Here's the original game in the Japanese. You had a UI that looked like this. Here are your 5 party members and their items. Here, okay, this is what interests me. You have this inventory open and armor, and then it looks like you have a joint item slot right now, rather than having individual items equipped for individual characters. Now that is a big change, because in the original Suikoden, you could only have like 6 slots for items. It was tedious for some people, and it doesn't really hold up that well today, but it made you make tough choices about how many medicine I want to carry. But it looks like in this one, they might be making it a joint inventory, much like some of the later Suikoden games had, which is interesting. I'm pro that. I think that's really cool. That's one thing that I don't think detracts from the original feel too much. I think that'd be great. Alright, so what it looks like they did with the sound here is they took the original sound samples as far as the music goes, and they just remastered them in HD, it looks like. So that's an adequate choice. That will make a lot of people happy that play this, but in a way I have to admit, like, I really liked what the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters did by re-recording that music, re-engineering it, and bringing it into a new era, and it sounded so great, just mind-blowing. So that was an interesting choice as well. So this will satisfy a lot of people that play it, but I'd love to know, what's your opinion on that? What style would you prefer between re-recorded or remastered? Let me know in the comments. And also, one thing I've noticed is that some of the sound effects, especially in battle, are different though. So do you guys know if they changed all the sound effects in battle? Also let me know in the comments if you happen to know. But look at this just beautiful scene where they're showing this off. Ryu, look at that waterfall. That's just beautiful. Ryu's running out to the cliff when him and Joey split up for the first time. Very memorable scene from Suikoden 2. So that's what we can expect from the sound here. We've talked about the release and the platforms. March 6th, that's going to be the day. I'm definitely checking this out. But now I want to talk about what I love so much about Suikoden 1 and 2 and why I think this series deserves so much credit, and then I'll go into why I think it's so important that this comes out very soon. Alright, so what makes Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2 so legendary? Well, first things on my mind are the army battles. So in Suikoden 1, you had these grand army battles amassing all the characters that you had acquired, up to 108, against enemy armies. And these huge battles were so fun, super memorable part of the original, and characters could actually permanently die, which was very new to any RPG. And what's so interesting about what Suikoden did in the future was they switched up how these battles worked. So in Suikoden 2, it kind of became grid-based, and it was a little bit more strategic. In fact, it was a lot more strategic. And the choices you made really had a lot of impact. Now, I think Suikoden 2's army battles are much more difficult than Suikoden 1, but this was just a cool feel that really immersed you in the story more than a lot of RPGs did, because your entire playing field on your side was being utilized in the game. Like in other RPGs, you could ignore character A or character B for the entirety of the game sometimes, but in this, a lot of them are playing an integral role the whole time. Also, duels. The duels in Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2 are so cool. They usually came up at pivotal storyline moments where two characters have a feud, or it's like the ultimate culmination of a big battle. Very memorable ones. Pan and Teo McDowell, things like that were, just super memorable, and it was so fun to kind of play that. They do come down to kind of a paper, rock, scissors, but, the veneer around it, the storyline telling, using that as a mechanism was super fun. The music in Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2 were both super memorable as well. Very amazing soundtrack. I played Name Entry, the song, at the beginning of this video because that one sticks in my head so much, but there are so many others. You take a look at these soundtracks front to back and they're awesome. I think the Suikoden 2 soundtrack had over 100 tracks even. It had so much music packed into it, and it was all very high quality. Definitely sticks in your head, and it's going to be great to kind of listen to it again in the HD feel. Rune system. Now, the rune system in Suikoden and Suikoden 2 were differed by a little bit, but what it comes down to that was cool is character customization. Some characters were locked into a rune, like the Soul Eater rune being, an infamous example from Suikoden 1, but this opened up character customizability in ways a lot of RPGs didn't offer. So if you wanted a character that could heal, you'd put the water rune on them, kind of level it up, and that could be your healer. Same thing with like fire. If you wanted fire or wind, you could put those on characters and they'd be more offensive oriented. There were even rune combination attacks that when two characters use runes at the same time, it produces like a very unique spell. Those are some of the coolest things that Suikoden 1 and 2 did, so I can't wait to experience them again. And also, the incredible storyline moments in these two games. And I'm just going to give you the top 3 that stick out to me from both Suikoden 1 and Suikoden 2. Here's just your courtesy spoiler alert. I will give some basic spoilers about the story, but not really talk about the culmination of them. But here's your warning. If you don't want to hear them, just skip to the next section in the video. So Suikoden 1, fighting your father. So you are operating against the Gregminster Empire, head of the rebellion for most of the game. And I don't want to completely spoil it, but at one point you go against your father, Teo McDole. And it is just one of the lead up to that is very interesting because in the lead up to it, Pon fights him, and it just kind of like makes you think when you're playing this game, like, what are the costs? Just a unique storytelling mechanism that I think they pulled off very well, very memorable part. Gremio's selflessness. So Gremio is one of the young master's servants, that's Tyr McDole, that basically goes along with you through your entire adventure, and at one point, he makes a very important sacrifice, and that sticks in my head as well. That very important moment that people will get to experience for the first time. Another one, the backstory behind Ted. Like, who is Ted? Why does he have this special power? This soul rune, and, what's his backstory? And we learn about that as the game progresses, and it impacts the story of the main game as you're playing it. And I think it was so cool. The flashback scene to years in the past really showed a lot of that, and that's something that I've covered in my storyline videos. And for Suikoden 2, the relationship between Ryu and Joey was fantastic. Both very dissimilar in terms of kind of their ideological outlook and their personalities, but both people trying to do good in different ways. The sinister nature of Luca Blight, just one of the most malevolent baddies in RPG history, is really put, to the forefront of that game, especially for the first half. And, just some of like the evil atrocities he commits is, has a much more mature and evil feel than many RPGs that came out at that time. In fact, I was kind of blown away by it when it came out. And the third one in Suikoden 2 is just how uniquely that game did a storyline choice, deliberately so, that made two characters essentially the protagonists. I think you can argue both Ryu and Joey are the protagonists, but they're doing things in their own way that they think are good, but in very different strategic orientations. And you really feel that as the game plays out. You feel this tension between the two characters, both of them not understanding the other, but both trying to do good in ways they think that will help the world. And I think that's something Suikoden 2 does almost completely uniquely in the annals of RPG history. I think maybe only Final Fantasy Tactics does something similar, actually. So what an incredible, disposition and kind of storyline telling method that they incorporated in Suikoden 2. Alright guys, so now I just want to talk about why I think it's so important that this game is coming out soon. Because the timing of this is probably about the best it could be, maybe slightly different, but I'll get into that in a second. But I'm just so glad this is coming out now. We're kind of on a retro RPG revolution where people have played Octopath Traveler, Eiyuden Chronicle, that one's really important to the Suikoden series, Sea of Stars, Chained Echoes, games like that for the first time, and going back to relive some of the games that, we love the most. And this is one of the best ways to kind of push them deeper, I think, into the franchise, is releasing this now. Now, when this was first announced, Eiyuden Chronicle was planned to be released at about the same time, and both games essentially got delayed a little bit, but Ayuden Chronicle ended up coming out first, which I absolutely love, by the way. And this game, maybe if it would have came out at around the same time, it would have been better, but now that players have been immersed in that game, they will really know what to expect from the first two Suikoden games. So the Ayuden Chronicle was one of the gateway drugs that could push you farther down the retro RPG rabbit hole, and that's one of the greatest reasons this is coming out soon. I'm just so elated to know that many people might be able to experience this for a first time, but really it's going to be a lot of people like me going back for the nostalgia as well. And speaking of Ayuden Chronicle, that game was just fantastic. That game was probably my favorite RPG that I've played in 2 decades. In fact, I can't remember an RPG I've liked that much since Lost Odyssey came out, so that's really saying something, because it was truly what I really hoped back in the day that Suikoden 3 would be. It really is that style that really harkens back to Suikoden 1 and 2 that people will get to experience with this remaster package. So let me know in the comments below, do you plan to play the Suikoden remaster? And what do you love about the Suikoden franchise, and in particular Suikoden 1 and 2? I'd love to hear from you, and we'll all have fun playing this together hopefully. So I'll catch you on the next one.